Hey guys, it's Lyndon. I'm coming to you with Allie and my friend Peter Fahy
How you doing, guys?
from New York City. Allie, we wish you were here with us in NYC. We're at St. Pat's Bar and Grill, which is the official Auburn bar here in the most lovely city in the world. Al, how's your Friday going? Mine's going great this week on vacation.
I wish I was in the Big Apple with you guys. I've actually gone to that bar to watch an Auburn game, and it is the best atmosphere. There's nothing better than cheering on the Tigers in the best city and the biggest lights. There's a bunch of Southerners taking over the North. So I wish I was there, and I wish I could have a beer, but my day doesn't stop until 4 on this Friday. So, Lyndon, you're going to have to drink for the both of us today.
So when were you here at the bar?
We watched a basketball game there. We got some more Eagles already. Thanks guys for tuning in for this third week of Tiger Takes. Pretty crazy that we're already on week 3. But yeah, I was at that bar watching a basketball game. So it wasn't a football game, but the last couple of years basketball has really taken over. So it's been so much fun, and it's always nice getting a War Eagle when you're outside of above the Mason-Dixon line. It's always really nice to get one up there, and everyone was so friendly, and you've got a great bar. So Lyndon, what are you guys drinking?
I'm drinking Guinness right now. He's drinking his
Oh.
coffee.
I've been good for
Wow.
now. Until 5 o'clock, like you say yourself. We'll have a beer then.
I was going to say, I'll definitely be cheersing with a beer after this long week. But Lyndon, I see you in your football jersey. How is it? This is your first time in New York City,
It's
right?
my first trip
how
to
are
New
you
York.
doing?
Okay, so I already have like 10,000 stories, but I'm gonna try to make this quick. And for everyone watching, y'all come up here to New York. There are so many Auburn people. Actually, even on my way here, walking to the bar this morning, I was walking past Zara, saw a guy in an Auburn mask. His son's in the aviation program at Auburn. He wants to be a pilot for FedEx. So we talked some War Eagle with him. And even last night, and this is how small the world is. So I reached out to them myself, and I was like, hey, come in here. Y'all are so gracious to let us come to the show live from here. But he knows our friend Allie Bryan, who went to journalism school with, who now works
Oh my
as
God,
an
what a
Auburn
small
beat
world.
writer. Yeah, and he actually gave me recommendations yesterday. So my entire trip thus far, I feel like, has been sponsored by Auburn, because the 2 places I've been here haven't been here but actually less than 24 hours. So in less than 24 hours, the 2 spots I've gone to are both Auburn connections. So he knows a lot of Auburn people up here. Greg Montgomery used to be the president of the New York Club here at Auburn, knows my dad. So it's just like, I'm from small town Alabama, and I've gotten this far in life thanks to Auburn. So we're loving it.
Absolutely.
So how did this become the Auburn
Well,
bar?
I was going to say, how did that become the Auburn bar?
I told him, I walk in, I go, I have so many questions. And you said it's a long story.
It is a long story. It's so long, but I'll give you a quick rundown of it.
Okay.
Across Auburn alumni roughly about 6 years ago. We hit it off straight away. I invited them into the bar to come in and check it out, see what they thought. There's Nicole Klein and Greg Montgomery at the time. And yeah, they loved it straight away. I got a load of flags, bunting, posters, whatnot. Just nice menus. And the rest was basically history, About 2 seasons ago, Greg and Nicole brought us out from my works here at News, brought us down to Auburn, Mississippi. Let me tell you, I've been to colleges all over the world. And I've never experienced anything like it. It was unbelievable. We went to it was my first tailgate, I believe, and that's where I was just about to get in the stadium. Yeah, so amazing.
Oh my gosh. I think we talked about this last week, how we're looking forward to tailgating coming back, and as I'm sure you're looking forward to watch parties coming back here. We are way overdue.
Most definitely, yeah. We can't wait till the Tigers back. Great bunch of people. Tell you know how to drink a few beers as well.
Allie leads that club.
Exactly. I'm the president of that club. So many War Eagles in the chat, guys. And talking about drinking and getting ready for tailgate, me and Lyndon, the segment we are going to start off with Tiger Takes this week is we looked ahead to the 2021 season, 100% capacity. in Jordan-Hare around the country. Penn State announced yesterday that they're going to be 100%, which is awesome to see. Well, we're going to count down the 5 games in 2021 that we're nervous about, and we're going to have to drink some beers to get our nerves out of the way to make it through 60 minutes of Auburn chaos football. So, Lyndon, if you want to kick us off, what is our number 5 game that we're going to have some liquid courage to get through this year?
Well, the number 5 game I feel like is the obvious. It would be Alabama, right? Yes. You know, Iron Bowl. It doesn't take you too long being on Auburn people to realize Iron Bowl, you need the liquid courage, you need the focus. So it's kind of hard. And we've talked about this too here on Tiger Takes. Like the Iron Bowl, you want to be focused. So I think I'm going to have to be focused throughout the Iron Bowl, Allie, for obvious reasons. Brian Harson's first Iron Bowl, thank goodness it is in Auburn. I'm sure we'll be there together. But, you know, it's going to be a lot of Guinness if Auburn pulls this one out and beats Nick Saban and company and gets the dub. How about you? How are you planning to settle your nerves this 2021 season for the Iron Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, November 27th always circled on the calendar after Thanksgiving. You know, everyone's coming back into town for that last game of the season. And Guinness would be a heavy beer to drink all day for an Iron Bowl, man. I don't know if you're making it until 3:30 if you're drinking a dark beer like that. But I think, like you said, the biggest thing is there's so many unknowns for Brian Harsin. And to have both UGA, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but have Alabama at home in your first season as an Auburn football coach to line up against Nick Saban, I mean, you really can't ask for nothing, more than that. I think we're going to, by the time November 27th rolls around, we'll know more about this Auburn football team. But it's still a lot of unknowns. Is Brian Harsin have some tricks up his sleeve? Is Bo Nick's going to take that junior leap? Who's going to come out as wide receiver? Who's going to, fill out that offensive line? We won't know. And I think those are all really good combos. But, coming off a national championship, I just would love for Brian Harsin to, stamp his name with that Iron Bowl win and celebrate, with a couple of Vegas bombs after would always top off a great Auburn story. But coming in at number 4, less nerves, but more exciting, is Akron. And it is the home opener for Auburn at Jordan-Hare, September 4th. I think every Auburn fan across the country has circled this as 100% capacity at Jordan-Hare. I think it's going to be buzzing. It's not against, a big name. It's not an SEC opponent, but it's the first game back with the full capacity. And I know for one, I'm going to be there tailgating my little behind off, cheering so loud, getting so into every body and just soaking it all in because we haven't had it, Lyndon. It's not the same watching games at home. And I know it's a luxury of, going to the fridge and picking out a beer, but there's just something different about being there that makes Auburn football that much better. You know what I mean? So are you excited for this, Akron game September 4th?
Yes, so excited. We'll be there. It'll be so much fun. Brian Harsin's debut. Let's hope that it goes, well, because I feel like I truly think the more people I talk to, just no one knows what to expect with him. Even talking to the beat writers, you just really don't know. He's not from around here. Yep. We've got some great coordinators in. So I will be on edge the entire game. And I don't want to win by 10 points. I don't want to do any of Gus's little squeaky wins he used to do over these teams. I want a statement week 1 to win. Peter.
Absolutely. Expecting absolute search of a win out of Auburn that game. We have a full house. Auburn's first game of the season. With all Tigers in, all floors rocking, ready to go. DJ on the second floor. Can't wait.
DJ on the second floor. Oh my gosh, you may be rocking harder than Jordan-Hare because you were closed down all of last football season.
Yeah, close, yeah. But to be fair, now we have.
Oh my gosh.
The Auburn regulars came in and kept us afloat. Fair play to them. Very much appreciated.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah,
I love that.
For all
so
yeah, so September 4th is a big day here for St. Pat's as well. We can't wait. What's number 3?
I'm gonna make I'm gonna make a statement before we get to number 3. I think the first person that's gonna score a touchdown is Tank, and I think he's going to go to the house on the first play for Auburn from the line of scrimmage. It's my bull.
That is a hot take. Get it? Get it? Allie, we can't hear you, and we don't know if it's us or our signal. Let me try. Can you hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up? You can hear me? Okay, we can't hear you. I don't know. Let me try. Hold on one second. Let me try something. This is what happens when you go on location. It's kind of difficult. Let's see. So you can hear me. Okay, well, I really don't know what the deal is. I can try to keep talking on my end. I just can't hear you. Do you want to do that? Okay, perfect. So I can't hear what Allie says, but we're just going to try to keep this rolling. AirPod in, and we'll work again. Now, Allie has exited the building. No. Okay, so now we're going to talk Georgia. Well, Peter, I'm sure after being around Auburn fans, you know, Auburn, Georgia, Deep South, oldest rivalry. There you are. Here we go.
Yep.
So how crazy is it for that game? That game, I will say, if I'm not working it, you know, we're hanging out with family.
Yeah.
I will have to have a sip or two to get through that one because I feel like Georgia, man, it's so tough to beat them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And even, you know, like I know they can be the running joke sometimes. They can never just like beat Bama or get it done. But my goodness, like I just want to beat Georgia and get back into our winning ways with them. So here at St. Pat's up in NYC, how fun are those watch parties?
Let me tell you now, Lyndon, on a Saturday, Friday night before the game, you go to bed knowing if it was a 12 o'clock game or a 6 or 7 o'clock evening game, you're going to bed the night before. And I even get nervous. And I haven't went to Auburn school, you know?
Yeah.
You can cut the tension. As soon as I come in the door in the building, you can literally cut the tension in the room. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that is, I mean, that's how I feel too. It's very, very hard to sleep on Georgia Eve. And have you ever had, and I'm not talking about for Auburn games here, but just have you had any interaction with Georgia fans? Because they can be a tough crowd.
Yeah.
Allie knows best. She's in Atlanta, so she knows.
Yeah,
I was
of course we
gonna say,
have.
can y'all hear me yet?
Yeah, Georgia's, they're known with the corn dogs, correct?
That's LSU.
That's LSU, sorry.
Georgia,
Yeah,
but no,
we
the
had-
Bulldogs are crazy.
We had a few of their fans come by outside the building. I think it was a season or two seasons ago.
Yeah.
And like Auburn game would be on, they'd be out in front screaming, "Yay!" And we're like, "Yeah, guys, stay away. Don't be looking for trouble in here."
No drama.
No drama.
Trouble. I love that. October 9th, it's going to be early this year. You know, normally it's in November, but I'm kind of excited. I mean, October is going to be super tough month, always is for Auburn, but bring it on, new traditions, bring Georgia up.
Absolutely.
Allie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, UGA is the game for Atlanta. So it is, we can hear both of you. Sorry, guys. I'm moving apartments. I promise I won't be in this 5th story in the middle of the desert internet here shortly. But, you know, living in Atlanta, we're dominated by UGA people. You know, there's a lot of us here, but it's a home game. And so we're about the same distance away from Auburn to UGA from Atlanta. So it's always a crazy game. You know, I'll be there. Again, another statement win for Harsin if he comes in and takes out Kirby for his first year. You know, I always say, you know, I didn't grow up in Alabama. I didn't grow up with the Iron Bowl. So to me, UGA Auburn is my biggest rivalry. It is the game that I circle. It's the game that I want bragging rights for. And it's the game that means the most to me. And I don't know if it's because I live in Atlanta, so that game's kind of heightened up, or it's because, you know, over the last decade that I've been an Auburn fan, that's really been a tougher rivalry with some games. But I will definitely be drinking a lot of seltzers and a lot of tailgates. I think I want it to be a night game. I don't know about you, Lyndon, but I think a night game at Jordan-Hare against Georgia would really take off.
I think so too. I think it'll be the perfect weather. Let's talk about the weather. Normally we're freezing when we play Georgia in November when it is night game. So I'm pumped for that October 9th date. Hope it's a night game. And that's such an interesting take since you're from out of state, you know, just from Alabama, because I feel like a lot of my friends, I'm sure yours too, who went to Auburn even from Georgia, I mean, they care about that game so much more than the Iron Bowl because it is set up with, you know, against friends and everything. And, you know, what a blessed school we are to play Georgia, Bama, and LSU every single year, right?
Every single year.
You know, it
But
never gets easier.
Never gets easier. And I will say, I'm digging this Georgia in October. Like you said, the weather, I love it not being back to back, against Alabama. So I'm really digging this separation. I know it was a big change for a lot of people, but as for me, I'm okay with it. And I think it really is going to help, Auburn out in the long run. Now, our number 2 game, oh boy, heading back to Baton Rouge for, I guess, Penn State, I think is actually our number 2.
Yes.
Number 2, Penn State. What can you say? I mean, my whole family's from Pennsylvania. My granddad went to Penn State. This is a game that I was, fingers crossed, hoping would happen for Auburn, and they got it done with a home and home. And I know that I may have booked a flight up to Penn State last minute, aka this past week, because I just couldn't stand not being there. It looks like it's going to be a whiteout. Penn State just announced that they're going to be 100%, which everyone was kind of nervous about. And I, for one, hope that Auburn walks in and does it right for the SEC, does it right for Brian Harsin. Penn State's no joke, 107,000 people. It's a different kind of atmosphere. It's a different kind of crowd up north. They're just as loud, just as rowdy. They take their tailgating super serious. It's going to be a night game, 7:30 p.m. under the lights. I mean, you really can't ask for much more from an Auburn fan than going up to Happy Valley and experiencing that for the first time.
It's going to be, I think, kind of a, culture clash because, down south, we still wear our dresses to football games, and this is not meant to be, make fun of the Penn State tailgaters by any means, but I always call what they wear at the games, the lumberjack chic. Happy Valley, it's the middle of Pennsylvania, and I just think that it's going to be so much fun to kind of take, this Southern tradition. I'm sure you see this all the time in New York. And then with, up there at the North School, like you said, 2 good programs, 2 well-known programs. My goodness, though, I've heard enough Big Ten better than SEC talk, I think, for the rest of my life. So, like everyone's saying, I really, really, really hope Auburn can keep it close, then end up on top. Penn State, by now, 7-point favorite. But let's shock the world. That's what Auburn does best.
Absolutely.
Shock the world. And we have a comment from T. Roy Tiger. AU football demands I prepare my liver for every game. Accordingly, War Damn Eagle. Cheers to that, T. Roy Tiger, because I would admit the Auburn chaos takes a toll. Takes a toll on your liver. I can't imagine being 50 years old on this Auburn roller coaster, but I signed up for when I got this diploma up here. I'm in it for the long haul. But no, I'm excited for Penn State. I mean, Auburn travels well. I actually had someone on Twitter ask, if it's going to be the whiteout, it hasn't been announced yet, but everyone's kind of assuming this would be Penn State's whiteout, for an SEC team coming in. Yeah. Will they wear white on the road?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be crazy. I hope I get to go because I do want to see the whiteout in person because it's the darkest white t-shirts you've ever seen in your life. I don't know what kind of bleach they use up there in Pennsylvania, but it works really well, and I would love to be there with however many hundreds or thousands of people that they're going to pack in there to Beaver Stadium. It's going to be awesome. T. Roy Tiger, a Tiger tip. We didn't do a Tiger tip segment. I read the other day that studies show that coffee helps your liver live longer, be better. So if you are going to put that havoc on your liver, which Auburn, like you said, can make you do that, up your coffee game. Like Peter here, look, he's on it. And Allie, look, Duncan.
Okay.
Can't
go wrong with Duncan.
That's my spot. Duncan, if you're out there and you want to sponsor us, I will be more than happy to take it on. But the drink that's come that I have a feeling is going to be very hot for Auburn fans this year because it's came on very strong is espresso martinis. We make poor boy espresso martinis by just frying pre-made cold brew and just dumping vodka in it with a little chocolate. So they're nothing fancy, but I have a feeling that's going to be for some of these 11 a.m. kickoffs, the new drink of choice.
We can add that to the menu for sure.
Out there.
Perfect. Yeah. You can add it to the menu.
Add it to the list.
I love this. This is our first official guest on Tiger Tank. This is awesome.
This is awesome. Very much so. Yeah. No problem at all. For the Penn State game, guys, we have a bus, if not 2 buses, leaving from the bar. 2 52-seaters. Yeah, going up to the game. And I got one of those seats.
Oh my
Looking
gosh,
forward
I'm
to
gonna
it. Yeah.
need you to wear like a GoPro or something?
No problem.
And we're gonna
Yeah.
use that footage.
Absolutely, no problem.
That is awesome. Shoot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Auburn family, man, it really is. They
It
say
is.
it's cheesy, but it is something for real. And I
Absolutely.
think to kick off the game, outside of everything, the game that I'm most nervous about, that I would love to come away from Baton Rouge with a win for the first time in what feels like 110 years. Auburn at LSU, October 2nd, a month before I turn 28. So really my last big hoorah before I get super old.
before you really have to get it together.
Please, God, let us win in Baton Rouge. I will do anything.
Like, literally, what is it gonna freaking take to win in Baton Rouge? Even in 2013, like that game, which was a complete washout. I don't even count that as being like the true atmosphere. But like, you know, we couldn't even then. We've come so close 2 years ago, and it's just like, what is it gonna take? I don't know. We're cursed. We gotta break the curse. They gotta do
I am
down
just
there in Louisiana.
Yeah, I am just so tired of not holding a cigar after an LSU game. I would love to smoke one. Coming out of Baton Rouge, that was one of my most favorite road games I took. I think I mentioned it on our first show here at Tiger Takes, that Baton Rouge, I had a blast. The fans are fun. If you come in with a good attitude, and that's the game where Leonard Fournette literally rolled like 800 yards on us. So we walked in with a good attitude, knowing we were coming out with an L, and we just partied with the best of them down there, and they're great. So if we can walk away with the win, I don't know how well they'd handle it because it's been so long. But I think I might make the road trip this year. I think I'm feeling good. I mean, we'll see how the first month goes. If we walk away from Penn State with a win, I'm feeling good. It's a rebuild year again for LSU. I mean, they kind of had a tough year last year, so I think the opportunity's there if we're ready to take it.
You mentioned the corn dogs.
The corn dogs, yeah.
Do you like corn dogs?
Not necessarily, no. I wouldn't be a major fan of them.
Do you think, like, they always say, like, LSU fans smell like corn dogs?
So I've been told. So I've been told.
Like it's such an interesting scent. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe a little, I don't even know what that smells like, but it smells like LSU fans. I love corn dogs.
Right.
I would love to know like where that started, Linda. Do you even know how that started with that? I mean, like I said, I'm a newbie Auburn fan.
They embraced it too because I went to, it was called like the Crazy Parents or something. It was actually a tailgate group out of LaGrange, Georgia. They're LSU fans, and they invited their tailgate, and they were serving corn dogs to their LSU fans, and we actually took a shot of a corn dog.
Right.
They put it on the shot sheet for us. So they embraced it, but I really don't know. But I do remember just every week on campus, you walk around and everyone's like, smell corn dogs. So much fun. So, yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't know what I would do. And I'm going to say that this is not me down in Auburn. It's just I can't remember the last time. You know, it's been so long. Like, what I would do if they did it in Baton Rouge.
Have you ever watched a game in Baton Rouge? Like, have you ever done a road trip over there, Lyndon, or either of y'all?
No, I haven't. Never, no. I never been down.
My cell phone broke in the monsoon. That was LSU beating us in 2013. And here's something really funny, Allie. It's a one of the super fun.
Oh, jeez.
Me and my friends, we rode the farmhouse bus to New Orleans. And we thought like it was $100 all inclusive. We were like 2 nights in New Orleans, all this stuff.
Heck yeah.
It's a steal. I don't even hang out with farmhouses, but it was a steal of a deal. But then right after the game, torrential downpour.
Oh man.
Like I'm talking about, like my phone broke. That's how much rain like it broke. We get back after the game, we're upset, we lost, and they're like, all right, load the buses up. And we're like, we're not staying tonight? They're like, no, we're driving back tonight. That's why it was so cheap. We spent one night down there, and we had to ride all night back.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, we all were sitting there. We're such the outcast. We had no friends on that bus except for each other. And we're like, oh, that's why the trip was $100.
That's a long hangover ride. That is a long
and right after, we were all like, our clothes were all wet. Misery. So that's my last Baton Rouge memory. We go to places walk-on down there. It was a really good time. So I want to go back when it's nice weather. So maybe October 2nd will be the perfect time.
speaking of this season, I mean, I'm sure as we get closer, we'll dive more into the schedule. But do you have a prediction on what you think Carson's going to do? Do you have an idea of what the record's going to
I'm
be?
gonna go. I'm just gonna go with like, and this is me being just. I'm trying to be a realist. You know, Allie, what you tell me, I live in a fantasy world, and I do, and I just think things are gonna happen, and they don't. So I'm trying to live outside my fantasy world. I'm gonna say 7 wins this year.
Nice.
I would be surprised if that's just like, I would say 9 or 10, obviously. But
Okay.
I don't, I'm gonna say lucky number 7, and obviously I'll be disappointed. Everything's disappointing when you're an Auburn fan, no matter, like, I mean, come on. We just fired Gus Gavon to beat Nick Saban. He's the one that could beat Nick Saban, But I'm going to 7. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think 7 wins is realistic. I mean, there's some other tough games on the schedule. You have A&M thrown in there. Ole Miss always comes into town, and you never know what's going to happen on Halloween weekend. But I don't know. I mean, after we fired Chizik, Gus came in, different team, different year. I understand that, but he rolled off with the unexpected and teams not knowing what to line up against. So I think that Auburn will. You're not going to be undefeated by no means. Am I living in that big of a fantasy land as much as that would be nice. But I think Auburn is only going to drop, 2, maybe 3. I really think that the talent is there. I mean, it's obvious. And I think he's filled some of the gaps, with the short season he's had recruiting to get some transfers in there. But I really think, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think Bo Nix has the arm. I just didn't think he had the line last year. There's only so many ways you can run and have a scrimmage break in front of you and make passes that, no one can make. So I really think that if they can get that straightened out and just give him time, and give him the option. And, as a junior, he's grown, he's stronger, he's bigger, he's smarter. He knows what to expect in the SEC, that I really think he has a chance to, not win a Heisman. I made the statement his freshman year that I thought that he'd win the Heisman, and I don't see that happening. That was a fantasy land, but I really do. Yeah, I would take that. Rewind and delete. No, it's out there. But I really think that he has an opportunity to step up. I can't expect why he's not. And Harsin, it sounds like from people I've talked to in the team that the strength and conditioning has been out of control. That they're taking no jokes. You know what I mean? There is no lackadaisical. Every position is open. There's no seniority. There's no, oh, I recruited him, this kind of thing. I mean, it's a new staff. They don't know these guys from, anybody else. And I think that's a good thing for Auburn. I think that Auburn needed that. I think they needed a little switch up. I think they needed a little oomph, if you know what I mean, to, get some of these guys to realize nothing's guaranteed. And so I really think Auburn has a chance. I do think, I'll go on record and you can type it up and you can send it out, I think Auburn will be one of Georgia and Alabama. I do not think he goes 0-2. I'm leaning more towards beating Georgia, which I would love, but I do think Harsin at least splits those 2 big games that everyone will have their eye on this season.
Winner for sure, winner mentality. So I agree. I hope we beat at least one. I think we can beat at least one. And I think that's just what's so exciting. There's so many new things coming back to season. Football parties, the tailgating, and coach. It's just like a box of chocolates this year, man. You just never know what you're going to get. I'm kind of looking forward to that after 2020. But every day you felt like the exact same. But I ate up my hair. Go back. Alex, since we do have Peter with us today, I did want to have a quick, this is not like our normal Tiger Take segment, but I think, since we're traveling, Auburn, Jersey, New York, we're going to be best friends forever. I think it'd be kind of cool to talk about a moment. And you can pick 50,000, but think of one thing that has happened in your life that's a cool, a meet up with someone, or just circumstance because you've been an Auburn fan.
Man, that's a lot. It's hard to say. I mean, I've had so many things happen because of Auburn. I've gotten every single job that I've ever had because I went to Auburn and I knew people. But I think one of the coolest friendships, and I guess a cool moment that's happened from being an Auburn fan, but shout out to my girl, Morgan Jackson. For the longest time, I had no idea she was Bo's dad. I just thought it was some gal that hung out at the complex. Now I look back and I'm like, wow, they're identical. But it was just one of the craziest moments. We became best friends without knowing either of us. She didn't know what I did. I didn't know who she was. And we just became best friends. and we're still best friends to this day. And so I just think that Auburn connection that only happens at Auburn, that I'm now best friends with Bo Jackson's daughter. But it's just one of those things where even if you are someone like that, you're so unassuming and you just love Auburn. Like I just thought it was a girl who just loved Auburn football as much as I did.
Yeah.
So we talked about it and hung out and got dinner, and those moments of being an Auburn fan and making those connections, you just like no one else can make. You know what I mean? She didn't ever throw it in my face or brag on it. It was just a girl that loved Auburn football. So I think that's one of the coolest friendships that I got from school, looking back and knowing, I met him for the first time at her graduation party, and I called him Mr. Jackson, and he was as intimidating and still looks like he could line up, suit up and go run, 100 yards in a game against anybody in the country. And so I just think those connections, looking back on it, are pretty cool. Obviously, I've made all my best friends, my bridesmaids, knock on wood if I ever get married. But I think the friendships from Auburn, and not so much one moment, but just the friendships that I've made coming there, that I've grown. I meet people all the time that are Auburn fans, walking down the street. Some say War Eagle back, some don't. But I think those moments are definitely some of the ones that I would take away from Auburn. But it sounds like you got a pretty cool story. That's that one-time Auburn moment that you want to share here on Tiger Takes.
Yes. So I just want to reiterate what you said. I think that when you meet Auburn people, you know the quality people. I'm sure
Absolutely.
You can attest that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I was so nervous to Facebook message New York Auburn Club, like little girl, not little girl, whatever, small town Alabama, never been to New York City. Don't know what I'm doing. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I hit up with the War Eagle. They were so accommodating. They're like, sure, come on. And like, you didn't even have to do this. He's working right now, but he joined us, and that really means a lot to me. I know it means a lot of viewers. But the one thing that I think stands out the most, it kind of shaped my life. I think that is how I got my first job in Sarasota, how everything kind of lined up the way it did so far, is it didn't really involve me though. It involved my parents being in Tampa, Alex's hometown, for the first time. They were seeing Pitch Perfect 2 at the movie theater, and I'm in my friend's house. I'm like, where are y'all? It's 11:30, and all my mom does, she sends me this contact name that was Andrew P. And I'm like, who's Andrew? Like, what do you do? Like, what is, like, I'm ready to go to bed. Moody, driving all day. Turns out they have an Auburn sweatshirt. Dad gets a big War Eagle. They both stayed to this past the ending credits, like, crazy people. Who even does that? And when they were talking, they made the connection that I was an 85 in Auburn. At the time, their son was dating an 85 at Auburn's sister, and we became best friends. Ended up living with them for 9 months in Tampa throughout my internship, and halfway through the first year of my contract. They were so nice. I'm in their family group text still to this day. They've come up to Lake Martin now. Now we have an RV they take to Auburn games to tailgate in. And we had a friendship going more than 6 years now, all because my dad said War Eagle to this random family at the movies in Tampa, Florida. And it's just like those little moments, and like they'll forever be my wife. Like I call her my Tampa mom, and I always joke if I went on The Bachelor, like I would have to have 2 hometowns, and they would have to meet 2 families, and have to meet my Alabama family, and we'll go right on Lake Martin. They would have to meet my Tampa fam, because like I consider them my parents.
Yeah.
All from the War Eagle, and I think that's just like so crazy. But even like last night, me bopping around New York with Brian, talking about Greg Montgomery, all these people that I've never met, but they all know each other because of Auburn.
Yeah.
Now you're part of the Auburn family.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll give you my funny story. All right. It touched on basically, Ali, what you said and what Lyndon said about the fan base, the strength and the depth in the fan base of the Auburn club. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's like nothing I've ever seen in my life. I was home January 2 years ago, and I was walking down Shop Street in Galway, where my hometown is from. There's about 80,000 people in Galway, all right? And I saw this guy walking towards me, and he did the Auburn top on. I said, no way, here we go. I said, War Eagle. He goes, War Dam. He roars back. And I ended up looking back again. I said, hang on a second. Andrew. And he goes, Peter. One of the regulars from the Auburn club was in Galway the same weekend I was home. So needless to say, we went to a bar called O'Connor's, and we had plenty of pints.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah. And we still talk about it. Every time he comes into the bar, it's like, remember that time in Galway we went on the beer? It's like, I'll never forget it, Andrew. Yeah.
It really is crazy how like 2 words, War Eagle, War Dam, whatever, you want it to be. But it's really crazy how 2 words like instantly connects people. It's like that one, like you know exactly what I'm thinking, and we're like part of the same family, part of the same team. And I'm not naive to think that Auburn is the only one. I mean, you got the Roll Tides over there, you got the Go Dogs, but there's just always these stories you hear from Auburn fans like that. I mean, what are the off chances you are walking down the street, not in the United States, very, very far from little old Auburn, Alabama, and you meet someone that you end up having, a memory for life. And I think that's what makes me get goosebumps and want to, shout War Eagle at anyone, whether they say thank you or not, or say nothing back. So, because you never know who you're going to meet by saying those two words. Yeah. Well, Lyndon, I think to wrap up this Friday, I think we should do our Tiger Toast. And I'll let you go first, since I think you're going to have a pretty cool one being up there in the Big Apple at the Auburn Bar in New York City. So why don't you kick us off for Tiger Takes Tiger Toast for this week?
War Eagle Tony from our circle to yours. I love that. Thank you for watching so much. Okay, Tiger Toast, our second. So you have to toast something on a Friday. Okay. So today I'm hosting St. Pat's Bar and Grill in New York City on their patio with their orange and blue bar stools. Y'all come check it out in New York and watch the game. So let's toast to that here. Let's toast to your bar.
Cheers, guys.
Place I've ever been here in New York, and we're just gonna enjoy today. We'll probably share a lot more stories. They're all Tiger Days, and just be present here in New York City.
Absolutely. There we go. Cheers,
I'm
guys.
So jealous. I wish I was there with you guys to cheer. I love going. Anytime I'm in a new city, I always try to find the Auburn Bar. And you got a pretty kick-ass one up there in New York City. This week for Tiger Toast, I'm cheersing to rolling the dice and booking a flight and buying tickets and going to Penn State. They announced 100% capacity. Auburn travels well. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go up to Happy Valley and see a game in that stadium. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's a whiteout. I mean, it's 7:30. You're never going to get, back up there, at least for another 20 years, you're not going to get back up there, Auburn fans. So please come join me. Even if it's a loss, it'll be an experience, but it's worth it. So I'm always down. I'm here to cheers. Roll the dice, buy the tickets, make an away trip out of it with your friends, because Auburn travels well, and there's nothing better than getting a W on the road. So I think that sums up our Friday edition, our third week of Tiger Takes. One day I'll get my internet fixed, and I won't be dropping off in the middle of the desert.
The wait, honey. You drop out every single week.
That's what I've been told. But we got a lot of guys in the comments sharing their War Eagles. Hopefully you guys can comment and let us know some of your craziest War Eagle stories. We love having guests. I'm sure this won't be our last one up there. We got a War Eagle from... No, I'm going to mess it up. Rochelle, Georgia, Rockell, Georgia. I'm not very good. I still should probably know this. We got a lot of War Eagles. Thanks so much for joining us this week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for watching. And again, I'm going to plug Peter and St. Pat here in NYC. Even as painted the War Eagle on the brick wall, which is right above us. I'll post a picture on Twitter. So this place is legit. You put your stamp on it.
Absolutely.
So keep watching every week, guys. We want you to be a part of our discussion. And we're just going to grow the Tiger Takes family out into the Auburn family. So, Allie, I'll let you wrap this up and take us home again. Thanks again.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
We'll have so much fun, Lynn. Wish I was gonna be there. Hopefully, I'll get a little tipsy call from you later after spending the day drinking some pints with our new Auburn friend. We're so excited to have you guys. And next week, fingers crossed, internet will be good. I'll be in my new apartment. Lyndon will be back home in Alabama, and we'll be ready to rock for another week. So drop us some comments on what you guys want us to talk about. We have food, we have tailgating games, superstitions, our favorite position, what I would play if I was an Auburn football player, where we're going to send our kids, our favorite tailgating outfits. So please drop us a note. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. And we will see you guys next Friday here for your lunch with Tiger Takes.